Each year, approximately 6.5 million of animals are being placed into shelters, with 1.5 million of these animals being euthanized. This is an ongoing issue in the United States. I, Lakyn, have adopted 2 dogs from local shelters.
I, Marie, have volunteered at these shelters before. Animals should be adopted from shelters rather than from breeders for many different reasons. Today we're going to talk about the effect of euthanasia and our solution to prevent it.
I will be discussing the 2 main problems in shelters, overcrowding and euthanasia. According to the website, the American Humane Society, in 1997, roughly 64% of the total number of animals that entered shelters were euthanized. Overcrowding is one of the main problems in shelters. There are many reasons as to why overcrowding is happening. Millions of puppies and kittens are being born every day that are unwanted and handed over to shelters. There are lots of pets who go lost who do not have the proper identification and are also being handed over to shelters. Shelters that reach their limit are not legally allowed to accept any more pets, leading to them homeless on the streets. According to the website Pause.Kids, homeless pets will repopulate if not spayed or neutered. Overpopulation also leads to euthanasia. In animal shelters, there are 2 common ways of euthanasia: gunshots and gas chambers. Think about people shooting an animal to save room. According to the website PETA, the bullets are not precisely shot into the animal's head or deflected, but will be shot again and again until death. The effects of shooting an animal due to the lack of space is unlawful. You and I can change that. Gas chambers are only discussed with the Holocaust. However, it is still used on animals today. The animals are placed into a small, dark box, one that is sometimes full of the smells from the previous animal. You and I know how gas chambers are unethical and the many lives that were lost to them, but yet we still use them on innocent animals.
Euthanasia and overcrowding are 2 factors that play into each other. Next, I'll be talking about the causes of these factors. According to PETA, even though animals are reclaimed or adopted, nearly 4 million of unwanted animals are left with nowhere to go. According to American Humane Society in 2016, they stated that euthanasia is due to overcrowding, but also because animals in these shelters are sick, aggressive, or injured. A large part of the population chooses to adopt from breeders rather than shelters. However, these people might not realize how much cheaper it actually is to adopt from a shelter. Jen Underhood stated in an article she wrote in 2017 that July is a tough month for animal overcrowding in shelters. She then stated that this happens because people go on vacations and they want to avoid the pet sitting fees or return their animals to shelters. Another reason for overcrowding is that people cannot afford spaying or neutering. Euthanasia is due to the lack of space for new animals that need to enter the shelters daily. In 2003, Pet Finder stated that the average cost of food, medical care, supplies, and training of a dog is between $400 to $700 a year. Getting a puppy also requires a lot of time and patience. Some people that work full-time or have families might not have the time and resources needed to take care of that dog. According to the same website, less than 2% of cats and only between 15 to 20% of dogs are returned to their owners. Some strays or lost pets that were not properly kept indoors or had proper identifications. These pets might not have been microchipped either.
Now that you learned about the causes, we will discuss our 2 solutions: having spayed and neutering cheaper, and adoption. Spaying and neutering is cheaper through shelters as well as most clinics. Shelters offer cheaper services as well as pets that are already spayed or neutered. According to the website Minnesota Paws, they offer spay and neutering services to low-income families for $70 to $150. Almost all pets that do come into shelters are already spayed or neutered. This cuts the cost of the animal for half the price. Look into your town and find a shelter that offers these services to you for cheap. Cut the cost of a new puppy and adopt one from a local shelter.
By adopting a dog from a shelter, you're actually saving 2 lives, the one of the pet you adopt as well as a space that opens up for a new dog that needs to enter the shelter. Adopting a puppy can be very expensive, especially during the first year. During that puppy year, they need a lot of attention and expenses such as vet visits, vaccinations, and training lessons. Puppies from breeders can be up to $3,000. However, puppies from shelter are around $250. These puppies from shelters are also usually spayed and neutered, which cuts down the cost by $500. These dogs from shelters are also sometimes trained. Overall, getting a dog from a shelter opens up a new space for a homeless companion.
Animals should be adopted rather than bought from a breeder for different reasons. There are many different ways to avoid euthanasia and protecting animals, such as lowering the cost of spade and neutering and adopting a pet from a local shelter.
If you had the chance, would you choose to save an animal's life and end euthanasia?